I'm gonna call it. If they have Focus blast me. They do. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Venus Poke PvP, thank you for the support. So happy Lunar New Year to everyone who celebrates it, Year of the Ox. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Open Master League. I know you guys really like the Master League content, so I'm going to be pushing that out while I can. Not going to be uploading any more Love Cup videos. I feel that with it ending tomorrow, there's really no point, and the Love Cup meta isn't too exciting overall, at least in my opinion. So the team we're featuring today is actually very similar to the one in the previous video. Main difference is that we are going to be leading Melmetal instead, so testing out the Melmetal lead, and we are going to be running Giratina Origin in place of Mewtwo. Now, Giratina Origin will be here for the first couple of battles, but then midway through that set, I actually changed it to Dialga. The reason I changed it to Dialga is not because I think the team performs better with Dialga. In fact, if you look at the team, it becomes entirely weak to Groudon once I insert Dialga. The main reason why I switched to Dialga is because I'm adapting to what I am seeing in the meta during these battles. I did 3 sets. The first set I went 2-3 with the Giratina Origin. The second set I was 1-2. And what I realized at that point was that if I had Dialga in place of Giratina instead, based on what I was seeing at the time, I actually would have ended up winning a lot more battles. And I decided to switch Dialga to see if that trend continued, and boy did it ever, because once I switched to Dialga, we went on a solid positive run. So you're gonna see here why I switched. Like I said, it's not because I think the team performs better with Dialga, but I am adapting to what I'm seeing. So I left those battles with Giratina at the start of this video to show you guys my sort of thought process, what I'm thinking, and when I'll make a change to a specific team because of what I'm seeing or because I'm predicting a specific trend in future battles. If you guys enjoy this type of content, leave a like on the video. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comments section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so in case you guys did skip the intro, going to be showcasing Giratina in these first couple battles, then switching to Dialga for the rest of the video. So here we have a Melmetal mirror match, and you could see from my IVs that I do lose CMP tie here. So you might be saying I'm in a pretty bad spot as a result of that. So what do I like doing here? I always let the opponent throw first, and then I want to CMP tie in the second one. So I shield the superpower here, and then we're guaranteed to lose CMP tie. So I click the move immediately, knowing that they can't switch out. So they're gonna be double debuffed here, and I'm gonna go for the Rock Slide bait. Now, going for the Rock Slide bait here probably doesn't make sense. Probably should go for the superpower, but because they're double debuffed, because they threw 2 first, they're almost guaranteed to switch out. And because I do throw a Rock Slide instead of the superpower, this superpower here is going to be doing full damage to the Dialga. So look at that, I get the shield again. So now they're down 2 shields. I should have probably saved this superpower, to be honest, and switched on to Groudon. No real reason to throw the energy there because I'm still going to need an Earthquake from this range to knock out the Dialga. So I don't like throwing the energy there with the Melmetal. I definitely should have saved it, and I should have came in here with the Groudon and just built up for the Earthquake, knocked out the Dialga. Instead, I've kind of put myself in a tricky spot here because there isn't too much farm here on the Dialga now. I do have 0 shields. We see a Dragonite come in, so it is the 2-0 Butters team. So you could see if I had that energy still on the Melmetal, it would be very beneficial for this Dragonite. And Giratina Origin here actually isn't too great against Dragonite either, especially if I'm going to get farmed down here, for example. So not the most optimal situation to be in. I do decide to switch into the Melmetal to pretty much catch the energy here and then hope that I could come in with the Giratina and beat down this Dragonite, because I know that their Melmetal has a very bad matchup against my Giratina Origin anyways, so they're not necessarily going to switch out unless they try to catch a move here. So I'm going for the Omnis Wind. Unfortunately, Omnis Wind actually isn't going to be enough to knock out the Dragonite, but I was expecting to switch out, so I wanted to at least get some damage off here. So we do get the Omnis Wind off. They switch immediately into their Melmetal. So at this point, unfortunately, I'm in range now where I will get KO'd, and Giratina actually does lose CMP tie to Melmetal, so this Rock Slide is going to be enough to take out the Giratina, which is unfortunate because now I need to get to an Earthquake to knock out this Melmetal, and I'm going to have to throw a Fire Punch as well at the Dragonite, but because this Melmetal could have beat me in CMP tie, I needed to throw immediately. Not able to build up enough energy to the Fire Punch. We ended up losing that game, and it was a particular game that I felt I could have won if I had Dialga in the back instead of Giratina. So next matchup against SICKFK, we got Melmetal into Dialga. And what you're going to see again, like the previous video, both Melmetal and Groudon, amazing leads in the current state of the meta. So much Dialga, so much Togekiss. There's a lot of things that Melmetal beats. It's a very strong lead. And you could see here, I do throw the superpower. Gonna get hit by a Draco Meteor or a Thunder here most likely. Gonna let it go through. It is only a Thunder. That means I'm going to be able to get off another superpower even if they choose to shield this, but I'm not expecting them to do that. They do let the Dialga go down and we see a Togekiss come in. So very tough situation here because this is my only real counter for Togekiss, right? Gonna throw the Rock Slide here. No shield because I am debuffed. And now I have a decision to make. I pretty much have to come into the Groudon, right? Because it's probably the better situation of the two. Gonna take less damage than the Giratina, at least in the short term, and I'm going to go for the Fire Punch here. Fire Punch still does add up against Togekiss, so it's not the worst situation to be in. And of course, none of the charge moves are really going to be threatening Groudon too much, so I don't necessarily have to shield anything. I'm just hoping I could get rid of this Togekiss, to be honest, because I don't necessarily expect him to have 3 Giratina counters for my own Giratina, because they already showed Dialga. They have Togekiss. What's in the back? I'm going to bring in the Giratina Origin here. We do have a shield. At this point, I think I am going to shield up one of these moves. So I do shield up the Aerial Ace, and we see them bring in their own Giratina Origin. So at this point, I know I have a huge energy lead. So I'm just going to go straight for the Shadow Ball, knowing that if I do shield the second move, I should be able to get to another one. And they let that go through. So at this point, all I have to do is shield up, commit to the farm down, and then pretty much farm down the Togekiss, which should be in the red. They don't have a move ready. Should be able to charm me down here. We're able to do that. Can we farm down the Togekiss? Yes, we can. We take that game. So we're off to a 1-1 start here in this set. And jumping into the next match against VCast 911. And we're going to be leading Melmetal into a Mamoswine. So Mamoswine, pretty tricky lead, but it is a pretty positive matchup for Melmetal. It should be outpacing the Mamoswine to the charge move, assuming they're going for Bulldoze and not Avalanche baits. So I do go for the Rock Slide here. That does get the shield. Rock Slide obviously will not KO, and Superpower is doing more damage, but I didn't want to debuff myself still. We do get baited by the Avalanche as well, so at this point it is pretty much a bait game. And now I go for the Rock Slide, which they do not shield. And I had Superpower ready here. Should have probably went for that, but I was expecting a shield here. They did not, so that's absolutely brutal. Great call by the opponent there, because that would have knocked them out. I wouldn't have taken this damage and we'd be in such an amazing spot. So now I am going to go for the superpower here. Probably KO this Mamoswine if they choose not to shield. They do not. So we maintain switch, but that could have been a lot better of a situation. We see the Dialga come in. So I'm going to come into Groudon here, of course. Slightly behind on energy, so it's not the best situation. And I have a decision to make. Do I want to bait with the Earthquake or go for the Fire Punch? At this point, I should be able to beat the Dialga to 2 Earthquakes, but because of the energy lead they have, it's going to be pretty dicey and not 100% sure if I'll be able to do that. So we do go for the Earthquake. They get the shield, and I'm hoping I could outpace it here. And I figure that maybe I can, so I actually go for the Fire Punch. They switch on to the Giratina though, banking that energy. I'm assuming they have an Iron Head ready, and at this point I'm in a really difficult spot because I'm behind on energy, and the Dialga has a move ready, so I will lose CMP with Groudon. So gonna get hit by a Shadow Ball here. I'm also gonna throw the Shadow Ball, and what I'm gonna do after throwing the Shadow Ball is actually stop attacking because I need to have some farm down on this Giratina for my Groudon. So I stopped attacking, I undercharged. Come into Groudon, see if I can reach an Earthquake, hoping that Dialga isn't at a move ready. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to farm up enough, so we are going to take the loss in this match against the Dialga here. And we're 1-2. At this point, I figured, you know what? If I just had Dialga in the back instead of Giratina, I'd be winning all these matches right now based on what I'm seeing. So I decided to switch it up, brought in Dialga for the rest of this set, and used it in the following set. So we get a Groudon lead here. Horrible lead, so not a good start. Not what I want to see after changing teams. Switch into Groudon. That's pretty much my only counter here for an opposing Groudon, right? And they have a big energy lead. So at this point, I expect them to probably throw an Earthquake and then dip out. So I decide to shield. We do call the Earthquake. And now I'm going to go for the Fire Punch bait, because my only way of winning this really is to bait them, right? So I have to take a chance here. We get the shield. That's absolutely huge, because now the energy is pretty much even despite having started behind. I'm going to go for the Earthquake now. Even if this lands, it does not KO, but it puts me in a good spot. It does land, so that's pretty huge. We get an extra mud shot there. Opponent's going to throw here. Even if it's Earthquake, not going to KO. I'm going to take the chance that maybe they try baiting with Fire Punch. They do not. I do win. Like, I do outpace it to Fire Punch, but they switch on to Giratina to catch this. So you can see here is where having Dialga is proving its worth, because if I didn't have Dialga here, I'd be in a tough spot again, right? And the pattern I was seeing was that I really needed Dialga for these matchups, because everybody was running a team that seemed to have something weak to Dialga, and I was missing out. So I decided to do that. You can see here, I tried to farm down completely. This should only be an Omnis win at this point, so I'm totally fine with this. Going to have a bunch of energy here on the Dialga, and of course this is going to demand a shield from the opponent. So they bring in a Snorlax, a Shadow Snorlax actually, and I'm going to go for the Iron Head here. They do shield up, and at this point, I could get to the Draco Meteor only if they do not throw right away, and I was expecting to throw immediately the superpower. So for that reason, I only went for Iron Head. But as you can see here, they're not throwing, so it kind of makes me wish I did go for the Draco Meteor. But fortunately for me, they got a bit too greedy. I go for the Iron Head. They tried to farm down completely. This is going to knock out the Snorlax, and at this point, I have a full health Melmetal. They have a Groudon with 1 HP, and my Groudon's actually able to come back in, farm that down. We take that game against a very difficult lead there. So you could see the change has been effective here after one match. Bluenardo here in match number 2 or match number 5 of this first set. And we got Melmetal into Dialga, so again, another positive lead for Melmetal. Melmetal's very strong. We see them switch on to Mewtwo. So in this particular situation, if Mewtwo is actually not running Focus Blast, Melmetal could win this straight up, just going straight Rock Slide into 2 shields. So I decided to stay in for the time being, see what they're going to throw. Of course, I am counting the fast moves, and at that point they had enough for Focus Blast, so I did decide to shield. When they show Side Strike, I'm going to start counting it, right? You reset the count, and at this point you know it's only a Side Strike, because there's no way that they built up enough energy for a Focus Blast, so let that go through. And I'm going to build up for another Rock Slide. This should be enough to knock out the Mewtwo here. But the opponent chooses to shield, which makes me think maybe they are going for the nuke here. But that was too quick for Focus Blast. So it's either Side Strike or Shadow Ball. I make a call, it's a Shadow Ball, so that is going to knock me out. And I decide to come in with the Groudon here to farm down the Mewtwo, have energy ready, because I know they have a Dialga, and whatever they have in the back, hopefully it's not something that really goes hard against Dialga or Groudon. And you can see here it is their own Groudon. So good thing I brought in my own Groudon here, because this Earthquake is going to be putting in a lot of work, and I need to threaten the shields here. Now, wouldn't want this Groudon lined up with my Dialga, of course, so it's a really good thing that I got this energy lead here. And I am going to call the bait here. We call the Fire Punch bait. I figured at this point, because they were behind on energy, they needed to do something. Going for the bait was the play there. And look at that, they sack their Dialga to keep the Groudon alive. I'm totally fine with that, because I'm happy getting rid of that with one shot Earthquake. I have a shield still. I'm going to call the bait again. They go for the Fire Punch again. At this point though, because they're going straight Fire Punch, I decide to shield here, knowing that I can get to the Earthquake now at this point. I was willing to let the Groudon go down before that, but once they kept baiting, I knew I could reach the Earthquake now, so I decided to shield up, go for the Earthquake, and then just Dragon Breath down with the Dialga here. So they are going to throw another Fire Punch. This is going to knock out the Groudon, but the Dialga is going to come in. One Dragon Breath is going to be enough to take this game, and the Dialga variant is looking pretty good so far, 2-0, and we did salvage that set with a 3-2, jumping up above 3100 once again. Let's jump into the next set right here. So we got DrRubinho here in match number 1 of the second set. We got Melmetal into Dialga. So again, you're seeing the power of Melmetal. A lot of Dialga leads. People love using Dialga, and even I'm using Dialga here, but I still have 2 very hard counters for Dialga on the team as well. So you can see I build up to 100 energy here. Love it when they throw first, because that is going to do reduced damage to me. And then I'm going to go for the superpower here. Let's see if they're going to choose to shield. They do not, but they switch out into Mewtwo. So again, Mewtwo, pretty tricky spot. So I'm going to go for some chip damage here with the Rock Slide first. I know I have another counter for Dialga anyways, and now I bring my own Dialga here. And I'm going to make a call here. If they go for Focus Blast and get one shot, I take the chance that they don't have Focus Blast. It's actually a Shadow Ball, so that's really good. At this point, I don't throw because I know I'm going to lose CMP. So instead, I'm going to shield up, and commit to the straight farm down, have a bunch of energy ready on my Dialga instead. So it's a good thing I didn't throw there because it would have been CMP. I wouldn't have got their shield anyways. I would have lost a bunch of energy. Rather just play it safe, go straight farm down, keep all that energy. Dialga comes in here, so I'm going to go for the Iron Head here, which is going to be more than enough to knock out the Dialga here. And they have a Kyogre in the back. Now I didn't think I could get to Draco Meteor, but I was also expecting to shield because maybe I could have Thunder, right? So I just go for the Iron Head. They do not shield. That is a very bold call. And I could have probably got the Draco Meteor, to be honest. Now I'm in a tough spot because Kyogre does really well against both these Pokemon. He has 2 shields. I need to get some shields here. So I decide to come in with the Melmetal and throw 2 moves at this, hoping to get both shields. Now, unfortunately for me, I'm not able to get to that superpower here, which pretty much flips the entire game. Because if I was able to get that second shield, I could have easily got this Earthquake, which would have won me the game if the Kyogre had 0 shields left. But because I was not able to get to that, I'm forced to lose this game. Because you can see here, I will survive this Surf, and I'm going to have enough energy for the Earthquake after this. So I would have been able to win the game if they had 0 shields. Because they have a shield left, I just threw Fire Punch. It's going to be shielded anyways, and we're going to end up losing this game. So that was very important to land the superpower there with the Melmetal. Didn't work out for us. We lose the game. Totally fine. For the battles here in the next matchup, very skilled trainer, so it should be a very good matchup. We got a very difficult lead here. Melmetal into Giratina Origin. So my only real counter is Dialga, so I decide to stay in here. I'm going to take 1 move. I'm probably going to shield this actually, and then switch out with all of my energy stored into Dialga. And what I'm hoping is that they switch out into something that's like neutral, like a Dialga. They bring in Dragonite, which isn't the hardest counter for Dialga. Actually, Dialga wins this match, so I could take back Switch here, but I am down a shield, and I don't really want to go down 2 shields, so I don't really know how bad I want to take Switch here. So I'm actually going to choose to probably let this go down, and hopefully this Dragonite just gets low enough to a point where I could farm. So that is what happens here. I'm going to let this go down here. I don't really mind Switch, because both my Pokemon lose to Giratina anyways, right? So I'm going to come back in with the Melmetal, farm up some more, and now I am at 100 energy. I'm hoping Giratina Origin comes back in. If they have something like Dialga, they're not going to bring it in, right? So Giratina Origin comes in. I'm going to spam all of these Rock Slides here. And I'm just hoping they have something in the back that loses to Groudon. So going for the Rock Slide again. And I have to make a call here, of course, because we do lose. Actually, we shouldn't lose CMP tie there. So maybe I didn't click the Rock Slide, but I choose to call the bait. They do go for the bait with Omniswin, so I got really lucky there. And I go for the Rock Slide. Not sure if I would have survived the Shadow Ball, to be honest, but getting off the Rock Slide there is huge because that knocks out the Giratina, and they have a Dialga in the back, so they're most likely going to shield this move here. I'm going to go for 1 superpower, store a second one, and swap out into my Groudon. So you can see they do get the shield. I bank that superpower, switch out into my Groudon here, and at this point all I have to do, shield up here, get to an Earthquake and win the game. Alternatively, I could probably go for a Fire Punch and then throw the superpower with the Melmetal, but don't really want to go that route. Might be a little risky too if they get to like 2 Iron Heads or something. So I'm just going to go straight for the Earthquake, play it the safe way, guarantee the victory. We take that game against a very difficult lead there, and we're off to a, what is this, 2-0 start or 1-1? I don't even know what we are in this set, but Talkingmimes here, Melmetal into Ho-Oh. So this is kind of a bad lead, but sort of neutral. Melmetal could win this match in the 2 shields going straight Rock Slides. So main thing, like I've said in previous videos, you do not want to let them get through a free Incinerate. If they get the extra Incinerate through, that is 5 free turns worth of energy. Do not want that to happen, so you have to be very careful in this matchup. We do shield the Earthquake here. They swap out into Mewtwo. Again, I don't have the best counters for Mewtwo, right? So I'm going to throw the Rock Slide here and then switch out into the Dialga once again before they throw a move. Ideally, you'd like to catch the Side Strike, but they actually did not throw. And I guess Mewtwo probably wouldn't throw a Side Strike at Melmetal anyways. So I do switch out. I'm going to call it. If they have Focus Blast, blast me. They do. So not exactly what I wanted to see here, but it is what it is. Dialga's gone. I'm going to come in with Melmetal. We have a bunch of energy, right? So I'm going to spam these Rock Slides here. And the Mewtwo goes down. We're able to farm, which is huge. So I'm okay with that. We pretty much traded the Mewtwo for the Dialga. I'm hoping now that if they have their own Dialga, I'm going to win the game, right? Because I have Groudon. Well, I'm not going to win, but it's going to be close because they still have Ho-Oh. The Ho-Oh presents an issue here, but we have a lot of energy on Melmetal. Melmetal generates energy very quickly. I'm going to throw this Rock Slide, gets the shield again. They switch on to Dialga, so I'm going to bring in the Groudon. Exactly what I was anticipating, what I was hoping for, a matchup in the back that Groudon could take care of quite easily. So I'm probably going to shield up this Iron Head here, go for the Earthquake. Now, at the time of this move, what I realized was that maybe I put myself in a tough spot, because what if the Ho-Oh farms me down from this point, right? So not the best situation, and now I'm forced to go for the Fire Punches. And what I was thinking here was that my play is to sort of waste the switch timer by spamming these Fire Punches, hoping that the switch timer comes back up, at which point I could bring in the Melmetal during the Incinerate animation and throw the Rock Slide, which I have stored. Alright, yeah, I do have it stored. So they debuffed themselves with the Brave Bird. Rock Slide now is going to be more than enough to KO, and we're going to be able to take this game against a pretty tricky lead there. So we do win that game. We got hit by Focus Blast on Dialga too. Kevin OG 1304 here in the next matchup, and we are leading Melmetal into Dialga. So again, Dialga leads, very prevalent in this meta. Melmetal's going to do really good against that, right? So they switch out into Landorus, and here's the Landorus again. This is the same guy from the last video. Landorus, once again, proving pretty difficult for its team. It pretty much beats everything on this team comp, actually. So you're wondering, how am I going to win this? Well, I have to shield up the Earth Powers, and I have to hope they don't bait. If they go straight Earth Power, I actually do outpace it to Rock Slide, and because of that slight energy lead I had, this isn't the worst matchup. So what I'm going to do here is try to get off one more Rock Slide. I'm going to shield this up. If this Rock Slide goes through, I'm going to try and switch into the Dialga and throw a Dragon Breath before they realize what is happening and knock out the Landorus. So here it is. Gonna switch into Dialga now, go for the Dragon Breath farm now. We're able to do it. Thankfully, we're down a shield, but I'm okay with how that played out. Now the Ho-Oh comes back in. You can see I'm building up. I'm pretty much out of Thunder. So will they shield this? Do they think of the Draco? They do not. They let it go through. Very ballsy play right there. And well played on their part, of course. But you can see these Dragon Breaths really do add up. And the Ho-Oh is going to KO me now with Earthquake, of course, but it's very low, and I could come in here with the Melmetal. What I'm hoping is that they don't have two moves ready. So actually, I'm probably going to come with Groudon in case they did have a move ready, and they switch out into the Dialga. And I'm going to throw the Earthquake here, which will one-shot if they choose not to shield. And boom! There it is. No shield. Ho-Oh comes back in. Gonna get off this Fire Punch, which is pretty much going to command the shield at this point. And again, it's a tricky spot, but in this situation, they have to throw energy because the next Fire Punch will KO. And now it's all about whether or not I could get to a move on this Melmetal. They go for the Brave Bird, lower their defense. I should be able to get to the move here. I get to the Superpower, so I'm not even going for the Rock Slide here. Superpower should be enough here with the debuff defense and about 2 HP left on this Ho-Oh. And the resisted Superpower KOs the Ho-Oh. We take that game. Let's move into the next match. This is the final battle of the set, LaTripleC here, and we are going to be leading Melmetal into a Togekiss, so a very positive lead to finish off the video here, and they switch out into Dialga. So at this point, I'm going to throw a Superpower and then switch into my Groudon. Reason I'm doing this, of course, is because the Melmetal has a very good match against the Togekiss, and Groudon still beats Dialga. So because we got a shield already, pretty much just have to shield here and we'll be pretty safe to win this no matter which route we go, Earthquake or Fire Punch. Because they Dracoed and because they're most likely not going to shield here and go down a second shield, I go for the Earthquake. But in hindsight, this might not be the best idea because now the Togekiss will come in and have a lot more health to farm down on, get to a potential Flamethrower for the Melmetal. So it might have been a better idea to actually go for Fire Punches there against the Dialga so that my HP got a bit lower. But at the same time, at least I will be able to lower this Togekiss with a couple of Fire Punches as well. So if they commit to a straight farm down, they will get quite low, and then it's going to be a decision on my Melmetal after. So you can see I do go for the Fire Punch here again. This is going to get the Togekiss very low. And now even though they're at a Flamethrower, I know that Flamethrower is not going to KO the Melmetal, and it's very unlikely they have 3 things weak to Melmetal. So I really don't care about preserving this Melmetal anymore. I'm not going to shield this because their third Pokemon, I likely don't need Melmetal for it. They bait me with Ancient Power. It's a Giratina, like I said. Didn't need Melmetal. Dialga comes in the back. Didn't need the shield for that. Take that game, and we end up going 4-1 in that second set. And you could see right there, switching to Dialga based on what I was seeing really paid off big time and got me some big wins as we jump up to 3150. So those were some massively classic battles. Hope you guys enjoyed them. Let me know in the comments down below. I hope that you guys kind of got an idea of my thought process in switching Pokemon on specific teams based on what I'm seeing. You can see that the trend I was seeing was that Dialga would be performing much better than Giratina Origin, despite making the team weaker to specific Pokemon, and in the end it did work out in my favor. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.